it's often said that you are what you eat, and a healthy diet is directly linked to a healthy life. So one has to ask a question that how many of the diseases that we are facing, like Atishi just said, that so many of us are popping pills and are, there are lifestyle illnesses, but we have to ask ourselves the question that how many of these diseases are actually linked to what we're eating? That tub of popcorn that we have munched on while watching a movie, or that cup of tea or coffee that we just cannot start our day without, or that, hot plate of pakoras on a rainy day that we enjoy. So what is the connection? And, do we see a connection, or are they, slowly creeping into our lifestyle and making us more at the risk of certain diseases? To answer all of my questions, we have this brilliant panel. Let me introduce them once again. Swati Bathwal, she's a diabetes educator and public health specialist. Dr. Nitin Shrivastava, he's a senior consultant, urology and kidney transplant and robotic surgery at Artemis Hospital. Dr. Shikha Singh, she's a clinical nutritionist, and Kushboo Gupta is a dietitian and pregnancy educator. Thank you so much for being here. Let me start off quickly, Swati. There have been so many cases that we hear of heart diseases, strokes, diabetes, and they're becoming so common. Right? And we are also increasingly gravitating towards fast food, packaged foods. Is a link obvious? Do you see that link?
Firstly, thank you so much, Megha, for inviting me. And hello to everyone. Thank you, Jagran New Media team, to invite me on the panel. So, मुझे जो बोलना था वो आतिशी ने already बोल दिया. But still, I want to add few things. सबसे पहले कोई भी लाइफस्टाइल प्रॉब्लम होती है, स्पेशली व्हेन इट कम्स टू डायबिटीज़, जैसे कि इसके फैमिली में जेनेटिक्स में है. बट लेट मी मेक इट वेरी क्लियर, जीन एक्चुअली लोड्स द गन, बट एनवायरनमेंट इज द वन विच पुल्स द ट्रिगर. So until and unless you're exposing your genes to that environment, you are not going to activate those genes. Now, when it comes to low vitamin D, it comes to stress factors as well, lack of exercise. There are so many things which can add in activating those genes. Now, let me give an example. Like Atishi mentioned about diabetes in India. We have a population of 101 million of diabetes in India. We've got 254 million people in India with diabetes. We've got 195 or somewhere around 200 million people with pre-diabetes. So there is a gap between the rich and the poor, and which is impacting on the difference between there is a health disparity, there is a disparity of nutrition in the country. Yes. Similarly, if we say that, modern world have, you've got availability of all these nutrients like fast foods, not nutrition food, but you've got like fast foods available with all these preservatives. Yeah. Let's look at same era. We've got some states or some island in the world where there are people above 100 years of age. Now, how are these people, still there? They have got communities of 104, 103-year-old. It's because it comes back to their lifestyle. The choices they are making, they're having natural food, they're having organic food, they are active, they have a very strong, supportive community, which actually makes a lot of difference. Yeah.
So I'm going to come back to, what you mentioned about predisposition to certain diseases. I will come back to that. But let me get in Dr. Shrivastava. Dr. Shrivastava, जब आपके patients आते हैं kidney symptoms लेके, how relevant does it become in diagnosis on, what the patient has been eating? What is the diet like? Does that help you? And do you see the food habit connection with the several diagnoses that you're making?
Thank you, Megha, for inviting me. That's a good question. So dietary habits, they have a very strong association with the diseases, although they are not the only factor. Okay. So say, for example, if I'm seeing a patient of kidney stone, then there are certain dietary habits which predispose a person. If a person is chronically dehydrated, if he's taking a very high salt content diet, very high sugar content diet, then he has a higher risk of developing kidney stones. We are talking about obesity now. A person who is obese, who has a BMI which is higher than the normal range, he has a higher risk of kidney stone, many other diseases, and you'll be surprised to know even cancer. So obesity becomes a risk factor for, say, for example, kidney cancer and many other cancers. So there's a strong association, and we always try to find out the dietary history from the patients. It is very relevant.
So it is important what is on your plate and what are the choices that you're making. Let me bring in Shikha now. Shikha, we talk about what we are eating, but also about the quality of what we are eating. It's also about that, isn't it? Because increasingly the worry is also about, adulteration of food, the use of pesticides and the purity of products, or how our products are being stored in granaries, for instance. What does that, what kind of role does that play in impacting overall health?
A very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, yes, adulteration definitely does make a lot of difference in what we are eating, because what we are eating, we think that it is very, very nutritious, but it is not because of all the adulteration nowadays. First of all, when we store, during the storage of the grains and the food products, a lot of pesticides are used during their cultivation, during their storage. The storage quality is not that good, so there is a lot of fungal infection, there are a lot of mites, insects, due to which the quality deteriorates, first of all. Secondly, yes, due to the pesticides and due to the adulteration, there are a lot of problems which people are getting nowadays. The first and the most important is cancer, due to the pesticides and due to the adulteration. They are getting neurological disorders, reproductive disorders, and a loss of immunity. So during adulteration, there are colors added in the food products. There are, to increase the weight, all the conquers and everything are added in the food products. There are things like chalk powder and n number of things which are added, which are actually very, very bad for health.
Yeah, exactly what our parents and grandparents used to say, कि हमारे time का खाना कितना अच्छा होता था.
Absolutely.
And that, so we are facing, the flack of the adulteration that we are encountering every day. Let me bring in Kushboo to the conversation. Kushboo, more so during the critical time of pregnancy, the body is going through so much change. There is an entire individual that is developing, and there are so many hormonal changes. Why do you think, just lay it out, why do pregnancy educators like yourself and doctors, they give so much importance to what is being consumed, when and how is it being consumed? What about that period of pregnancy makes it so relevant and important?
So firstly, namaste everyone, and thank you Megha ji for giving me this platform to share my knowledge. To begin with, I'll start with saying that Ambu Shuddhi. Garbha Sanskar is educating the mind of the child inside the womb. And it has an aspect called as Ambu Shuddhi, that is, you pass on a lot of nutrients, emotion, lifestyle practices inside the womb when she's carrying the baby, right? So, particularly at what time, what to eat, or a small example of not having iron and calcium tablet together, this enhances a lot. So mindful eating during the pregnancy time will not only make the mother healthy, it will also pass on a lot of nutrient to the child, and during the growing age, we can see that impact. So these little things help a lot, and what time you eat anything, that also plays an important role.
Right.
So therefore, guidance is needed.
Right. Especially, like we're saying about pregnancy, because there's so many hormonal changes, as, case of gestational diabetes that is so common, and blood pressure. So women, and I think the entire families have to be very vigilant around that time. Swati, to the point that Shikha was making about how we are storing our food, and not just in large scale, but also the kind of stuff that we are using at home. home. And I know that you talk a lot about that use of plastics, containers at home, etc. And you also emphasize about, going back to root techniques, the ancient Indian practices in eating and cooking and storage of food. What do you think, what tangible ramifications do these, techniques bring about in overall health?
That's a very interesting question and very close to my heart as well. Now, let me just give a little bit of knowledge about, we talk about preventative medicine. We talk about India, healthy India in the future. We have to focus on childhood nutrition. We really have to. Now, coming to that, we see that the cholesterol deposition begins about the age of 10 to 12. So if you have high cholesterol, it's not the result of what you have eaten in the 3 months' time or 1 year time. It's about what you've had in the childhood as well. So having that stronger, home background, which follows all these practices, what our ancient or what our grandparents have used, is very, very important. Now, simple thing is we see that we are hearing, the cases for cancer are on rise. As simple as that, using mouthwash. Now, many of us use mouthwash. Now, taking mouthwash, it has a compound which immediately turns into acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde is a cancer-causing compound. So, as simple as using mouthwash. Now, we've got mouthwash now. Our ancestors were using oil pulling, where they used to use sesame oil and they used to use coconut oil. That's a simple technique. Second is, I'm not asking anyone to have datun, but as simple as using datun, what happened was, when we use datun, it doesn't kill those protective bacteria in our mouth. We all are taking many of us are taking high blood pressure medication, but here we are using datun, not using datun, we are using mouthwashes which actually kill the good bacteria in our mouth. Those bacteria turns nitrogen into nitric oxide, which is protective for our heart. Okay. So just simple things, and storing things in plastic and using a lot of oil, and the kind of quality of oil we are using as well makes a lot of difference to what the ancestors have used in the past. Yeah. So I think overall, if we look at it, the conversation can just go on what
absolutely.
we...
And Swati talks a lot about, the benefits of actually sitting on the floor and eating, like our ancestors would. So there is so much, there is a knowledge bank that we are sitting on. And perhaps we need to dig more into that. Dr. Shrivastava, also, there is this trend of an early onset of a lot of diseases that are, youngsters, children. There are cardiovascular ailments, diabetes in children, kidney stones, I'm sure, cancer even. Swati touched upon that, but I want you to talk a little bit more about the food habits of childhood and, what we are feeding our children, what choices, like Atishi was saying, that it's so easily accessible, that packet of chips is so easily accessible. How is that impacting, the risk of disease in the long run for the children?
Yeah, so whenever children are going for a packet of chips, we don't take it that seriously, and that becomes a habit. The food habit, it's a habit. It becomes a choice. So I will quote here a research which has come out of SGPGI Lucknow, and also there is data from AIIMS New Delhi. The mean age of diagnosing kidney cancer globally is between 65 to 75 years of age. That is the average age. But in India, we are getting these cancers at an average age of 55 years. So we are getting these cancers almost 20 years earlier as compared to the Western population. Then there's another research which was done on immigrant population in the United States. The Southeast Asians who have been living there for quite some time, the research found out that the incidence of cancer was much higher in those individuals, those Indians, as compared to the similar age group back at home in India. So what has changed? When they moved to United States, probably there is less pollution, there is less adulteration, maybe the similar kind of stress, but the food habits are the basic things which change. More processed food, more packaged food, high salt, high sugar. So probably that is contributing a lot for early onset of these diseases.
Right. So that one choice that the child is making today, or as a youngster that we are making today, is going to impact us in the long run. So we have to be very mindful. Dr. Shikha, I also want to bring in the point of emotional and mental health. What do you see as a connection between what we are eating and link it to how we are feeling? Do you see that connection?
Absolutely. All of us actually know that food has a lot of impact on our physical health. But not most of the people know that it actually makes a lot of difference on our mental and emotional health as well. So there is a lot of, there's a direct, the food that we eat is directly related to our mental health as well. A person who is emotionally disturbed, maybe suffering from depression or anxiety, maybe that person will overeat, maybe that person will leave food completely. So definitely will have either of the problems, the problems related to obesity or maybe the problems related to deficiency. Similarly, a person who's actually not taking proper nutritious diet might suffer from depression and anxiety. So both the things are intercorrelated basically. So, there is a lot of people who are actually suffering from depression and anxiety are deficient of vitamins, minerals, and omega-3 fatty acids. And, whenever these kind of supplements are given to a person and things like amino acid supplements are given to a person who is suffering from mental disorder, makes a lot of difference in the mental health.
Right. So there were some deficiencies that went unrecognized.
Yes.
Kushboo, India is seeing an increasing percentage of infertility cases. Do you make that connection to the questionable food habits that we have right now?
Yes, definitely, because firstly, we are facing unexplained infertility. That is just because couples have now started treating pregnancy as a target, timeline, also comparing their journeys. So I'll give you a small example that if you sleep on time, so your melatonin increases, which enhances your testosterone or egg quality. Eventually, it will increase your chances of getting pregnant. But what have happened because of this digital world and everything, we know we don't sleep on time.
Yeah.
It increases eventually our hunger hormones, ghrelin and all. And we binge eat, we are more in stress.
Yeah.
So, somewhere down the line, the link is there.
Yeah.
So mindful eating, sleeping, lifestyle alteration can, decrease this percentage of infertility.
As many as 15% Indians are suffering from infertility. And these were some of the issues that we wanted to talk about in terms of, that disease connect. But Swati, when we look at, sometimes we think that healthy eating means dieting. And then we get into a rat race of all kinds of diets. There are so many. There's Atkins one day, and then there'll be intermittent the other, and then there'll be one meal a day. This is the new one that I've heard. But do you think this sort of, mad race for dieting, is that really healthy, and is that also negatively impacting the body?
Certainly, Megha, and I would like to tell everyone, and we all know that biscuits are bad or chips are bad, but there is nothing new in nutrition.
Yeah.
There's nothing new. We are just remembering what we have actually forgotten, and we are just doing it in different ways. And all these diets which are in the market, they are always short-lived. We hear about side effects of water diet, where a woman died because of drinking too much water. Every day there is a new diet. And I would like to emphasize this, and I think we need to increase the awareness among people that the fat cells are formed in the body as a part of fetus till the time the child is 18 years of age. After that, the fat cells are not formed. It's only the volume which keeps increasing. So you have to be on that weight for 7 years to make your weight loss permanent. So all these people who are dieting, if they can survive one meal a day for 7 years, go ahead. If you can do Atkins diet for 7
Sustainability. I think sustainability
that is really important when people actually think about doing some crash diets.
That how long will you be able to sustain that? Dr. Shrivastava, can I please play the devil's advocate and say that हर चीज का food से relation हो सकता है क्या? Are we putting too much blame on what we are eating? Aren't some of us already predisposed to certain things, certain kind of diseases, and the risks are already there because genetics, age, even gender, how much, what is our lifestyle like, how much are we exercising? Doesn't that also have a role to play, and that we are putting too much pressure on? I mean, some of us would like to eat out, once in a while and go for that pack of chips. Is it like completely no-go? What does a doctor have to say?
So, once in a while is okay, but if it's a habit, then it can be a problem. So, yes, it is difficult to, assign what proportion of diseases are because of your food habits. So, I'll give an example. See, human body is a much more complex machine than what we see around here. So, the build quality, that is your genetics, it is very important. What quality of machine is given to you, that is your chromosomes or genetics. But then it also matters, say if you have a very fancy car, but this will also matter what kind of oil you are putting into it, how you are maintaining it, and what terrain you are taking it to. So if you have got your genetics, you are predisposed to certain diseases, but if your diet is bad, if your lifestyle is bad, you are going on a rough terrain every now and then the diseases are going to get precipitated earlier, maybe in a worse form, difficult to control. So, yes, dietary habits
So
are
if
very
you're
important.
predisposed, then you have even more
Yeah.
of a responsibility to eat right and make the right choices. Dr. Shikha, sometimes, we've also called this session the unseen link, because, these indicators are not seen unless it's too late. But is there something that we can pick on? For instance, when you have that like that tub of popcorn that we were talking about, and you get bloating, is that a sign that has to be taken seriously? Some things like bad breath related to, what you're eating. What can we pick on before it's too late?
When we talk about diet, it's actually meant to be a balanced diet, a balance of everything: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. So whenever anything is excess in our diet, for example, if we take excess of salt, that can cause water retention in our body. If we take excess of sugar in any form, maybe in the form of fruits as well, किसी भी चीज़ की अति अच्छी नहीं है, चाहे वो fruits ही क्यों ना हो. So if we take excess of fruits also, the kind of sugar in the fruits as well can cause fatty liver. तो ये बहुत सारे लोगों को नहीं मालूम है कि अगर हम excess fruit खा लें तो उसकी वजह से भी fatty liver हो सकता है. If we take excessive fat in our diet, it can cause a lot of heart problems. So, we need to have a balanced diet. And there are a lot of symptoms. For example, if a person is passing a lot of urine, feeling very, very thirsty, can be suffering from diabetes. A person who's having swelling on his face or feet can be, that person might be suffering from kidney disorder. So there are a lot of indications, yes, which many people do not know, but can indicate some kind of severe medical problem.
Yeah. So it's important to listen to your body. I think that's vital. Listen to your body in time. Kushboo, coming to you, and again, tapping on the fact that you're a pregnancy educator. Post-pregnancy recovery for the mother and nutrition for the baby, I think it's a crucial time. And both these phases, I think, there are chances of infection or deficiencies that may develop. What are some of the key things that you ask the people that you're working with to keep in mind, include in their diet?
Firstly, should be exclusive breastfeeding. Yes. That plays a very, very important role. And for that, I must say that the role of gynae and pediatrician is there. But still, there are pregnancy educator or lactation educator. Approach them also to get correct guidance, latching techniques and all. So breastfeeding not only helps the child to get nourished, but also for the mother to recover. as well as the family. The family need to be educated. The family need to support the mother during this crucial phase, because once the baby is born, the attention goes towards the baby and the mother is neglected. So therefore, post-depression and other things, hit her. So it's better that we take care of her nourishment by giving her good calories, by being mindful of what she eats at what time, getting hydrated, because you ooze out a lot of water when you give out milk. So hydration plays a very important role. So these simple things will put on the best for the mother in her recovery phase as well as the child.
Yes, absolutely. And that time of breastfeeding, it's crucial because that's the first nourishment and that's really going to set the child up for the life. I have one final question for all of you, and this is a quick one. I want you guys, all of you, to give me one tip on something either you think we should stop doing or start doing in terms of what we are eating, the diet we are following, or lifestyle for a disease-free life. Swati.
So stop comparing. Yeah, stop comparing. And second is start moving. It's very important. Stop comparing yourself and with other people. That's very, very important. Very important for mental health.
Yes, absolutely. And everyone's health journey is individualistic and unique. Dr. Shrivastava?
Yeah, so for diet, one size doesn't fit all. Yeah, so it depends on your profession. I'm going by Indian philosophy. If you are a student, your diet has to be different than a person who is preparing for wrestling or bodybuilding. So one size will not fit all, but if you want to live long, you should eat less and eat simple. That's my tip.
Okay. Eat less, eat simple. These are all mantras. You want to note them down perhaps. Shikha.
So first of all, I would like to say that, of course, being overweight is actually in itself a medical problem. I was once 110 kg and I lost 50 kg of weight. And I help a lot of people to lose weight and cure their medical diseases only through diet and lifestyle. And I believe that diet is the most powerful thing and can cure any kind of disease. If we correct our diet and lifestyle, it can cure any disease. So one tip that I would like to give to all of you, and which I followed, I actually ask my, so many people to follow through my YouTube channel, my Instagram, and my personal clients, that finish your dinner before 7 every day. That helps a lot. If you finish your dinner early, it actually plays a very important role in your weight management as well as maintaining a good health. As well as try to follow a few more things which will include a good lifestyle that comprises of 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You should be doing any kind of physical activity for 30 minutes every day.
Right.
And have at least 3 liters of water throughout the day, and try to control your stress. But the most important thing that everyone should follow is to finish their dinner before 7, and that can cure a lot of problems in life.
Right. Now that's a simple actionable. I think we can all start eating dinner at 7. Kushboo.
So according to me, I would say follow sustainable and cost-effective diet plan. 10,000 की डाइटिशियन की फीस होती है और मेरे घर का राशन भी उतने का ही आता है. तो it's better you go to someone who is cost-effective. As a dietitian, I was taught that way, to calculate the cost also while giving a diet plan, which is now I don't see it anywhere. And also, in the digital world, everyone wants to be the expert. But as a consumer, you need to be very mindful of whom you pick up. So check the degree. Just like any doctor will have their license, their degree there when you go to them. Same way, even dietitian do have their license. So approach someone as a consumer, be smart of approaching someone whom you know that they will give you a correct guidance, and go for sustainable plans.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important point in today's day and age where we are just scrolling through reels and there is so much information hitting us. Not everything on the internet is credible, which is why onlymyhealth.com, our health website, believes in factual, credible information. All of these experts and many more are empaneled on the website, so they are actually fact fact-checking and verifying every information that we put out. So you can trust sources like onlymyhealth.com. Thank you so much to all the panelists for this very, very interesting and knowledge points that you have given us. There's something to take back and to incorporate in our lives to make us a little less prone, little less at risk to diseases. Thank you so much.